When most people hear the word AI, they think of movies like The Matrix or iRobot, intelligent machines that rise up against humans. And also companies like Google and Facebook talk a lot about how advanced and intelligent their AI is, making it seem a little bit like magic. The reality is though, today, most AI can only do very specific things, and even then, it doesn't necessarily do it very well. However, the reality is that AI-based algorithms already control way more about our lives than we know or understand. And that's why today, I want to level up your small talk on AI. Hi guys, my name is David Delacruz and welcome back to MediumTalk. MediumTalk is all about giving you short, snappy introductions to various topics so that you can have more interesting conversations with your clients, with your friends, with your colleagues. Now, it's not about giving you a complete, in-depth understanding of a topic. It's not to pretend that you're an expert, but rather just to give you the talking points so that you can start those conversations with those people. That said, let's get into today's topic, artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence anyway? Essentially, artificial intelligence is computer software that aims to emulate the way that humans think. They're mostly used to automate certain tasks that a human might do, like transcribing speech, categorizing images, or driving a car, for instance. This is what's called narrow or weak AI. Artificial general AI, or strong AI, is what you would mostly think of as AI in science fiction, a type of artificial intelligence that could do any cognitive task that a human could do. A common modern approach to solving AI problems is what's called a neural network. It aims to replicate the way that a brain thinks by having different nodes or neurons that are connected together. Essentially, you give the computer a heap of data and a desired end result, and the computer then runs hundreds or millions of simulations, feeding the data back and forth through the neural network in order to improve itself. The patterns and probabilities found in that training stage can then be applied to new data to make predictions or define outcomes on that new data. A neural network that you may use almost every day is a voice assistant like Siri or Alexa. Essentially, it uses a neural network to match a recording of what you've said, the individual words, to a massive dictionary to try and figure out what words you're most likely to have said. They then increase the accuracy even further by using a second neural network to look at the context of the words around what you've said to determine what would have been most likely combination. You can see this in action sometimes when the words on screen change after you add more context. Now let's talk about some of the issues or dangers that arise from using artificial intelligence, because I think a lot of science fiction is very focused on this aspect, so I want to talk about that now. First, the concept of harm to humans, because I think a lot of people's imaginations is captured by the idea of an AI that becomes so smart that it evolves to start harming humans. The reality is we're very far away from this. It is truly in the realm of science fiction, but I do want to talk about idea of harm to humans that could realistically happen in our lifetime, and that is the concept of autonomous weaponry. Autonomous weaponry is a real risk. For example, a drone using an algorithm to decide that is now able to kill an enemy without a human intervention. As far as we know, this has not yet been deployed anywhere in the world, and many tech personalities have spoken out against this kind of AI being developed. This also brings up the issue of ethics and liability in AI. If an artificial intelligence makes some sort of decision that results in the harm of a human, who is responsible for that? Is it the person operating the machine? Is it the person who designed it? There's no clear answer, unfortunately, for this topic. Another risk that's very present already today is the risk of bias. Most AIs are designed to replicate the way that a human thinks. However, if the underlying data, the underlying assumptions, or the way that it's programmed is biased, then the resulting artificial intelligence algorithm is going to be biased as well. An example of this could be in hiring. If a firm in the past has mostly hired white men, then the AI is likely to seek out white men as well. This can happen even if you don't explicitly say only hire white men, because the system will identify that maybe people from certain colleges or from certain majors have been successful in the past, and if those are overrepresented with that group, then the results will be that way as well. Now, this also brings up the issue that a lot of times algorithms are closely guarded trade secrets, and in some cases it's not even possible to know why an algorithm came to a certain outcome. Now, maybe this isn't that important when it's just an algorithm recommending you what phone case to buy. However, if your bank loan is denied based on the decision of an algorithm, you might reasonably want to know why. A third potential danger of artificial intelligence is the effect it has on unemployment. We've already seen this trend happen over the last few decades in factories, with a lot of factory jobs being taken over by machines. But now that AI is able to automate some cognitive tasks as well, the kinds of people who may lose their jobs are people that work in call centers, process paperwork, or do research. Any sort of repetitive cognitive task is potentially at risk. Unfortunately, if these people aren't able to reskill, all this means is that wealth and power is going to be even more concentrated to the tech companies, because ultimately they're the ones that own and develop these algorithms. In the next few years, we will definitely see AI expand and improve to handle even more complex cognitive tasks. One example of this is self-driving cars. It's a growth area, it's a very complicated task with lots of factors, and I think this will be managed in the next couple of years. I think another area where we'll see a lot of development is in regulation. Regulators struggle to keep up with the pace of development in AI, but I think it's down to them to come up with some rules around ethics, around unemployment, some of the issues that I mentioned before. Now I'm just going to quick fire define a couple of terms that you may encounter if you're having a discussion about artificial intelligence. First, machine learning. This is the approach that I mentioned earlier, where you give a machine a whole bunch of data and a desired end result, but don't really give it any instructions on how to get there. It then improves iteratively, and this is the concept of machine learning. Then, big data. Big data is a word that gets thrown around a lot. Essentially, it's large pools of different types of data, whether it be text, whether it be images, sounds, browser histories, etc. Last but not least, algorithm. I've mentioned this word a few times already. An algorithm is just a mathematical formula or expression that you can give data and it can identify patterns or provide a specific calculation. If you do want to learn more about artificial intelligence, there is a heap of great content available on YouTube. Linus from Linus Tech Tips and Tech Quickie does a whole bunch of tech-focused content, but he has a really good series of AI videos. And there's also a guy called Leo Exodun. Probably butchered that pronunciation, but he does some really interesting overviews about how some of the technologies that are based on AI that you use every day, like voice assistants and that sort of thing, work. Well, that's it for my short overview of artificial intelligence. I hope you guys learned something. Please do let me know in the comments below what kind of other topics you'd like me to cover, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.